Hello, this is DrSayus, and welcome to my review of Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U. Xenoblade Chronicles X is the sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, my favourite RPG of all time. So was Xenoblade Chronicles X able to put the extreme into the series and make it even better? For people who don't know, Xenoblade Chronicles, the series, is an action RPG where your character will auto-attack whatever enemy they're facing, but what you do have control over is the special moves, and each special move has different circumstances. For example, some moves are more powerful if you attack them from behind, and there actually is a lot of strategy to it, which I'll delve deeper into. The Xenoblade Chronicles X is probably the biggest open world game on the Wii. It'd be right up there with The Legend of Zelda's Breath of the Wild. I'm not sure which one's bigger. If someone's measured them, let me know. But they're both massive worlds. But the question is, with such a massive world, are they able to fill it up with depth? For a game of this magnitude, yes, they do. There's just so much that's crammed into this game. One thing it does a lot better than Breath of the Wild is there's so many different variety of enemies. I mean, it's endless. It really is endless. And that's what this game is all about for me. It's just so complex. There's so much in this game. What I can say confidently is this is the most jam-packed game I've ever played. No exaggeration, that is just pure fact. I don't know any game that has more depth to it than Xenoblade Chronicles X. But does that mean it is a great game? Well, my first impressions weren't great. Don't get me wrong, I loved the character creation, creating your own character. I couldn't really see a face which looked like mine. No, I have a charismatic looking face, so I decided to just make my character look as unique as possible. I sort of made him look like that guy with the mohawk in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm Mary Poppins, yeah? The story of this game is planet Earth is destroyed and the survivors are from USA. If you played the first game, it was loosely based on real life, like humans were called Homs, and I forget the name of the planet, but this is actually based on real life, so you can already tell it's a much more serious game. They get attacked by alien ships and they crash land in this random planet, and you control a random character who you can give personality to and so on. Once you go to the base which the humans have set up, that's when the real game begins. What I didn't like about this game was it bombards you with cutscenes at the start, and they are quite painful to sit through. I can only imagine someone who hadn't played any, this is their first Xenoblade game, I would actually say it'd be quite off-putting for many players. The game has much more serious tone than the other game, and it's more American voices than the quirky British voices in the first Xenoblade game. The cutscenes they're okay quality, but they do drag on. You can skip the cutscenes, but I didn't really want to, because in an RPG, like, most of it is the cutscenes. So I was hoping, although they're done well, they just weren't really entertaining. The game is built with a massive online multiplayer aspect in mind, and unfortunately the servers are now shut down due to this being on the Wii U, even though the game's only 2 years old at this recording. Though you still get bombarded with messages saying you're now offline or cannot connect to server, which will happen every time you boot up the game, which can get irritating, but you can get rid of those with a quick button press. The narrative does get better. There's a character that's introduced, let's just say he's not human, but he's quite entertaining and he tags along and he brightens it up a wee bit. You need to put a lot of time into this game to get something out of it, and that's another problem with the game. It's a massive time sucker. You really need to learn all the mechanics of the game. Like, the game doesn't really explain how to do things, so you may need to look some things up online just to know what you're doing. Especially if you haven't played the first game, it will be a bit tough to get used to. After about 5 hours, the game picks up. Finally, when you start the first story mission, you get to explore the world, really see all these different types of creatures and so on. And the game is mission based, so you'll need to travel back to your base and accept missions and go out into the land and complete the missions, and that helps you get experience and money. And it's a lot better than just grinding on random enemies, so that's the way the game encourages you to play. I know this isn't for everyone. It's a departure from the previous game where it would have been just one continuous story. You started off in a small village and you have to travel to all these different locations, and the story would resume in those locations rather than in the base. Like, in the first game, you were just a bunch of innocent travelers and you had to adjust to the harsh realities of the world, and you had to grow with the world. In this game, you're more of a military person. Like, you go back to base, you instruct the higher ups what you've done and so on, and it really is sort of being like in the military, so that's probably not for everybody. I say go into this one if you have a lot of time. There's very high production values in this game, but the problem is some of the voice acting comes across as a bit wooden and some of it's a bit laughable at times, actually, particularly with the characters who are not main characters. They're just random characters you interact with and go, oh yes, I was looking for that. Overall, I would give this game 5 out of 5. Although there's probably not many on the Wii U, it's hands down the best RPG on the system. I actually enjoyed it more than The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I can just see the fanboys wafting in at me. One thing it does that I love over Breath of the Wild is you can sprint forever, which is a complaint I had with Breath of the Wild. You had to keep watching the bar running and you ran out of stamina. You have infinite stamina whether you're running, swimming, whenever you jump really high up, it doesn't matter. You can be on a 50-foot tall cliff and just jump to the bottom, and when you hit the bottom, your character just pauses for a second, gets back up as if nothing happened. So I actually like that. There's a few glitches in combat, such as if you're engaged in a battle and they're in the bottom floor and you're 10 stories above them, they can still hit damage off you. So there's a few glitchy things, but I really enjoyed it. I'm still playing it. It's that big. I didn't even attempt to do a let's play in this because it's so massive that I didn't want to use up all the space in my computer with all the file sizes. If you like the first game, give this one a try. I wouldn't do this as my first game into the franchise. Definitely get some experience. Chronicles is still my preferred one. I love the story in that, and the combat is more simpler, though still has depth. So play that one first. That's my recommendation. You can get it on 3DS. I know it's rare, but if you can get it on the Wii, get it on the Wii. And if you soft mod your Wii, I won't tell Nintendo. So let me know in the comments, what did you guys think of this game? Did you enjoy it as much as me, or was it did it just drag on far too long?